Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to our YouTube channel. And of course, we're on Spotify
Mhm.
and Apple Music, of
Mhm.
course. But welcome to What's the Topic Again? This episode is going to be near and dear to both of us
Mhm.
because by the time that you see this episode, it's going to be Black History
Whoop,
Month.
whoop, whoop,
So what we're going to do as far as Black History Month, we're going to start showing some recognition to some people that we haven't heard of, and
We're like basically gonna like add that element to it for like the next I think three,
three,
4 weeks.
yeah, yeah,
So
we'll do that.
specifically also on top of that, we're still gonna keep our regular scheduled programming, of
Right,
course.
right.
But it's just a little add little seasoning, little salt pepper tea.
And then I'm thinking too, maybe just do an extra episode this
Mhm.
month
Mhm.
and just dedicate that whole episode
Either
to
extra episode, extra like it'll probably be like unlisted or something for y'all to watch
right.
it like on the community tab and stuff like that. That'll be fun.
Yeah,
Or and even
I'm thinking. So
or either we do YouTube short or either it'll be on our website. We'll figure it out when
and
we get
I'm
there.
just see that's why we authentic because stuff is just rolling through my head right now. Black history is every day,
It
and
is.
I'm going to take on what Tom Joyner did. He did something every single day when he had the Tom Joyner morning show for Black history. Every day, like he said, Black history is every single day. Although they dedicate a month for Black History Month, Black history is every day. Everybody history is every day, but Black history is every day. So if we can start just putting a little tidbits into each one of the episode. I don't care if we just give them 5 minutes.
Yeah.
We'll give them 5 minutes of recognition during each episode. And trust me, it's so many people out there that contributed to Black history. And I don't care if it's a kid doing a lemonade stand, raising money for Copes in the community. They are contributing to their community as far as Black history.
Yeah.
So we would do that. And
I mean, especially I think because sometimes I do feel like kind of bad for giving y'all like here have like a 40-minute episode,
right,
and adding that extra element for just people to hear because we are an educational podcast too, not
right,
only educational on the sense of just our own personal bring ups and stuff like that, but also just in general we do research and stuff like that from
right.
time to time, and doing that in my opinion will definitely not only educate people but have people with open minds and open hearts when
Right.
hearing
And
other
then
people's stories.
it's going to open your eyes to people that you haven't even heard of in history that made great contributions to certain areas in history, to medicine, to as far as history, to the science, and things like that. As far as educational wise, beauty wise, gave their contribution to that, made great strides in the industry as far as that, but weren't given that recognition at that time. So yes, I'm going to be doing my research on that, and
I'll
I'm going to
probably do
make
a few
sure.
things too.
Yeah, I'm going to make sure that those people are recognized on our podcast. They may have been recognized on other podcasts in 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or whatever. But I'm going to give them some time and give recognition. And later on in the podcast today, I pulled up two women as far as medicine that that were the first Black women to be in those particular positions. So I'm going to bring up those two women, and trust me, I hadn't even heard of them. Hadn't even heard of them. Most of the time, when we talk about great strides when it come down in the medical field, it's always about the men.
Of course, of course.
So I was looking to pay homage to the women. So I went and I found these two young ladies, and I'm calling them young. These two young ladies that were the first in their field when it came down to that. So we're going to talk about motivation, and those things motivate me as well.
Yeah.
So we our today it's going to be about motivation, and then we'll give these young ladies their time at the end of the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But what motivates me on a daily basis, what motivates me, see little quotes and things that I
little
done picked up.
Specifically on the
Yeah.
sense of things
People.
the things that we just personally write down,
Right.
and just certain things just in our life that just motivates us to like even get up every day. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
So it might be a touchy subject for some people. I know it's going to be for me because I used to be somebody that's not motivated to do a lot of things.
Right.
Even still to this day, I'm like, I'll still be lazy from time to time, but it's not like I'll be like.
And you see how we jumped into the topic without even introducing ourselves? Right?
I didn't even know
Because
that.
I just went straight to the topic, but I am your co-host, Deborah Love.
And I am your other co-host, Emaria Love, a.k.a. Mars on the internet. I'm so sorry.
But that is okay. This let you know how
excited we are.
Excited we are about this
excited
topic,
to do this.
how we got up earlier
Yeah.
to do some things. Lately, I've been up no later than 8 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes I wake up at 3 or 4, but trust me, I go right back to sleep too. I'm like, it's too early. But I know some people, they start at 3 a.m.
Yeah, I mean, I have my alarm set at 5:30 this morning. I hit that thing on snooze so fast and went back to sleep.
Yeah.
Didn't wake back up until 8:30. So.
Yeah, I got up around about 7:30 this morning. Eastern Standard Time. That's for us.
Yeah, yeah.
For other people, that's still like 4:30, 5:30
Yeah, I'm like,
for
it's
them
different
in the
for them.
morning. Yeah, but yeah, we're gonna take a break and we'll get back into the podcast. And we are back.
We're back.
For that brief moment, you have no idea what we're doing behind the scenes, but she probably threw a little blooper.
Maybe
in there.
one day.
Yeah.
But who wants to start? You want me to
You can start.
Okay.
You can start.
I mean, I have certain people that motivate me. Of course, I always would say that you motivate me as a person all the time. Y'all see the hair. For the people that are listening to the podcast anyway, I have braids in my hair.
You did a good job.
But what are they called? French curl braids. This is my first attempt. Don't you dare say I look ignorant right now because I ain't finished yet. But I pulled it up in a ponytail. She do look pretty anyway for what it is.
Good.
And plus, as well, I shaved my sides. I said it earlier late last year that I said I was going to eventually do it. I finally did it. So it looks really good. And I cleaned up in the back, too. I'm looking real good. Anywho, specifically, I mean, I don't have like a certain person I would say that motivates me besides like the people that are in my everyday life, which is my mom and stuff like that. Really. But I would say one thing that motivates me on an everyday basis is me journaling. This is my journal. I love this thing.
That's good.
And I will journal whenever I personally feel anything. I'm talking about anything. If I have, even if it's like a periodic thing, I would specifically just write it down in my journal and almost shows like an era in my life of how I felt or how I learned something. And I'm looking down a lot because I'm looking at some of these pages and they're like filled from head to toe.
Yeah, and she only allowed me to read the things that she wants me to read. Otherwise, I don't know what a journal is. And that's her personal notes. That's her personal details about how she's feeling or whatever. So I don't really try to invade on her privacy on that part. What she want to share with me, I expect it. I respect it, and I read it, and we talk about it.
Yeah.
Basically, that's what we do. So she do that.
Yeah.
She journal.
Yeah.
Even when you can also say on your phone as well.
Yeah, I do.
She have dreams at times.
Oh, yeah.
And the times that she have those dreams, she would wake up and she would start typing what happened
as best as
on
I
her
can
dream.
because
as
you
fast
know,
as she can, yeah.
Because
and
how the brain functions anyway, when you wake up, sometimes you can remember things off like fourth rip that you can say to other people later on the day, or either it's like immediately when you wake up, what happened? What was that?
Because sometimes I have a dream, I wake up, I don't even remember.
Same, and that's what had been happening to me lately. And I think I realized more in general with my dreams, the more quote unquote complicated or my life, I'm going through some trials and tribulations and stuff like that, or how I personally feel mentally, the dreams get heavier for me to remember. That's the thing. Excuse me, that's the thing. So I'm like, I don't know. So, because sometimes the dreams like almost correlate a little too well in a metaphoric sense, and it's some of them are like kind of weird.
That would be another topic we can discuss, because I know with dreams or with sleep period.
Yeah.
You know, they say you dream about things happen during those dreams. It's something has to do with the present life,
Yeah.
but it has to do with those thoughts that you're having
Yeah.
before you go into a deep sleep.
Yeah. It's always like that.
That's my thoughts.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that. I don't know who said it. I don't know where I remember it from, but it could have been from school or something, you know, being in college or whatever. But what's the topic again? Motivation.
Yeah.
Let's move on to that.
I mean, I'll going back on that for just 2 more seconds. But with dreams and stuff like that, I said to you before that I wouldn't mind doing like a short film of some of my dreams because they get chaotic and you have to understand my brain on where it's at.
Yeah, I read some of your stuff.
So it's like woo, all right.
Yeah.
But anyway, motivation. So I specifically, this is how much I love y'all so much. Specifically, I've written down a couple things over here off of like, this is going to be my year, my growth, and my mindset of certain things, and saying hello to 2024.
Okay.
So, like,
that's good.
This is how much I consider y'all and love y'all so much. So I'm going to read a couple things on this piece of paper because we ain't got all day. But
it motivates you every day.
Yeah. So this is the growth mindset. Not saying this is my original idea, but I did like the, you know, some of the things on the sense of on this piece of paper.
Okay.
So
let's hear 'em.
The more I practice, the easier it will get.
That is true.
Yeah. And which is very much very true. And it's on the sense of having the right approach on bouncing on to this next one. Feedback is constructive.
Yeah.
Constructive criticism. And some of y'all need to learn how to take constructive criticism because not a lot of people know how to take it and, you know, let it marinate and be like, okay, let me learn from it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So having that mindset in general, like, okay, this is some feedback. Let me just, you know, let it sink in and maybe it will help me to do X, Y, and Z.
Coming from a young mind and a person who's been a manager and had to do performance appraisals and performance write-ups and stuff on people, annual performance review, to do that and give that constructive feedback to people. Someone will leave those reviews very, very upset because they thinking that we were talking negative about them, but you were only showing things that areas that needs improvement.
Yeah. And so it also depends on the person that says that stuff too. If it's constructive criticism, you know, you want it to sound genuine and authentic as possible. And it may come off a little harsh, but it just depends on how you say it or word it, in my opinion.
When I did that, I made sure that I had an example.
Yeah.
And not just a recent example. Go back and let them know that it was a consistent thing that they were doing that need to be improved on.
Yeah.
So once I was able to back up what I was doing and the reason why I said something in that area that need to be improved, then they were motivated to change it. Other than that, you know, some people get stuck in their ways, and if you don't say that, hey, this is not a good behavior, hey, this is not healthy for you, you know, and this and that, they're going to continue to do it.
Right. And
because they thought that
wrong right
it was right.
Right.
You know, so with me in that area, I just, and you just have to know how to say it.
Right.
This thing, the delivery is a big thing when you're saying something to people, especially when you try to, I notice motivation and you saying you're giving them constructive feedback or it's constructive criticism, still you motivate them in a way, trying to nurture them so they can change that behavior.
Yeah.
And once they see that, oh, I see what you're saying, I got good feedback or a good, when I said something to somebody, then their response back to me was better than what I said, how I was been saying it in the past. So it's always the delivery when it comes to, because you can come off and you can say some things and you may not mean to say it in, when some people they gonna say it and they're just gonna say it. They can care less about how it comes out.
So it depends on delivery, in my opinion.
Right, but then sometimes when you say something to people and you say it because, okay, that's me, that's how I say things. But if somebody come back and say it to you in that same format, you probably would see it differently,
Right.
because the way you said it to them, and it comes back to you in that same format. Now you'd be like, "Whoa, that was harsh,"
Yeah,
what
yeah,
you
yeah.
said. But you want to make sure that how you deliver things to people, and how you want it to be delivered to you,
Yeah.
then that's how what you put out there is what you're going to get back. Because
Mhm.
most of the time, when you combat it with somebody,
Right.
9 times out of 10, that person's going to come back with the same force.
Right. Right. Right.
So if you come to them in a manner, oh, okay, I'm open to feedback,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna say this to you in this format, like, hey, Imaria, you know what you did yesterday? Not saying that you were wrong, but maybe if you change it and you do it this way, then the outcome probably gonna be a little bit different.
Yeah.
So if I'm telling you what you did, I wouldn't say wrong,
But
but what you can do that can make it better,
Yeah.
and then in that format, you try it,
Mhm.
and you be like, oh, it was
A
easier
better
this way.
approach, better than
Right.
what I personally
Right.
thought about.
So if I can give you that example and show you the response that you probably get back from someone, and you can do things with the hardest individual, the person that you feel like ain't no way in the world I'm gonna break this wall down with this person. Sometimes the approach is gonna take 1, 2, 3, 4 times before the individual bring down that wall,
Either bring
because you
down
don't know
the
what
wall.
happened for them to put up that wall.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because some people probably been disappointing to them over and over and over and over again,
Right.
and now you gonna have to prove to them I'm not that individual.
Mhm.
So give me an opportunity, because
Mhm.
most of the time people will put up a wall and they feel like, oh, this happened in the past, ain't nothing gonna change.
Right.
So if you have that in your mind, that's nothing is going to change, and people keep disappointing you, that person who's trying to make sure that they showing you they not going to disappoint you, they done showed up for everything that you asked them to show up for,
Mhm.
but you still have that wall up
Yeah.
because of that fear of somebody disappointing you.
Mhm.
Until that person show me they gonna disappoint me, then I can say, oh, okay, then let me pull back, so I can't consistently depend on them. But if you got a good excuse, you got a good reason for not showing up for that particular time, then I'm more understanding. But if you doing it and just to be doing it,
Mhm.
then okay, then you're not that person that I can depend on.
Mhm.
So it's certain things you can ask people. You just think about it in your life. You got certain people that you know that's consistent. You got certain people that you know that you can ask for things, and they're gonna be there for you. And then it's other people you can, if it's like, hey, I need a ride to work. Well, I know I can't call them because they ain't gonna be here on time, and I'm not gonna be at work on time. But you're gonna have that person that you can call on for any particular reason, and they're gonna be there for you. So those the people that you can connect with on any given day. I mean, like I told you all before, me and my best friend been friends for over 40 years. We may not talk on a consistent basis, but when we do connect, it's like we never skip a beat because we have the connection with each other,
Mhm.
and we just pick up where we left off at.
Mhm.
I have several friends like that. I got another friend that, hey, Yolanda, I got another friend that we've been friends with for a long time, and we can just get back and we can talk to each other and we can connect because it's almost like that we on the same page when it come down to things. She just had a
Mhm.
birthday too.
Yeah.
Happy belated birthday.
Belated birthday.
Love you, friend.
Yeah.
But it's just that, and those people motivate you.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that's going to push you. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. And I'm like, you motivating me to do everything. What you going to do? But those are your cheerleaders because they see something in you that you don't
Yeah.
see in yourself. So I like to keep my circle is small.
Yeah, child, you really went on a rant.
I did,
You
but
went
it
on
all-
I
it
let her
all-
talk.
It
That's
all
it.
leads back to motivation
Yeah.
because when you asking somebody to do something as far as changing, you motivating them to
Yeah,
break a bad behavior
yeah,
and turn it into a positive behavior.
yeah. That's
And
mostly
you-
why
you-
I write down these things anyway,
Right,
because I'm trying
and-
to help myself break
And
from
once
this bad
once
behavior.
those behavior change and you motivate them to change, and they see the positive results from you asking them to change that behavior, then that's going to open up doors to opportunities for them.
Mhm.
So one thing that motivates me, and I've written it down, and I don't know if you all can see this or not, but Denzel Washington. this is one of his quotes that he said to a group of, I think, aspiring actors that were at a workshop or something. And I watched that workshop and I watched him speak it. And then when he said this quote, dreams without goals are just dreams, and ultimately they fuel disappointment. On the road to achieving dreams, you must apply discipline, but more importantly, consistency. Because without commitment, you will never start, but without consistency, you will never finish. So, great job, Denzel. You know I love you, Denzel. When I broke that quote down,
because I even understood everything without even, I would say breaking down, you can break down each sentence, to be honest with you.
Because I had a dream, okay? You had a dream. But what you going to do about that dream?
Yeah. I would say, do you want the dream to be a reality, or do you just want it to stay a dream? You know what I mean?
If you want the dream to be reality,
you're going to have to work.
Goals.
Like, a lot of people
set goals for those
A lot of people say this, too, is like, consistency is key. And also on the sense of, just being, if you want it so bad, you're gonna work for it.
Right.
You know?
And that's like a kid in school. I want an A. Okay. You want an A in a subject.
Okay? How we're gonna get there?
How we gonna get there? Now we got to
set
goals.
That's how the teacher would say. How we gonna get there?
We got to set goals to get that A. Are we studying every day? No, I'm not studying every day.
Maybe you want a tutor or something, and just it hacks a kid. They can help you with it. Help you, not copy and paste. Help you, you know.
So you can learn the material. So you start doing that. Be consistent with it. If I need to have 15, 20 minutes of studying habits a day, be consistent with it.
Flashcards.
Something. I know.
Read your book, whatever.
That study buddy.
Yeah.
I used to tell my students all the time, become a part of a study group or have a study buddy.
Yeah.
Because somebody's strengths may be the other person's weakness.
Right.
And then, you know, it's always going to be somebody stronger than the other in that group that you can pull from. Then you can motivate each other. Hey, we studying today from 3 to 4, right? Okay, let's get together and study. And now it's no excuse as far as getting together. You can Zoom. You have Microsoft Teams.
You got FaceTime.
You got FaceTime.
You got Skype. You got all the things.
You got everything that you need to do in order to get together and to study.
Yeah.
It's just that consistency. And then you got to be committed.
Yeah.
If you're not committed to it, then it's just still gonna be a dream.
But let me throw this on you for a second that I have written down over here. Mistakes are valuable.
Oh yes, definitely.
That's key right there. And a lot of people, and like I said, this is bouncing off of what we're saying right now. It's more sense of people think, oh, I made this, or at least this dream did not happen the way I wanted to in the first place. So they give up on it. Maybe it's the methods that you did. Maybe it's the process that you did or anything like that didn't turn out the way that you want to.
Right.
And you just drop it on the floor and you're like, I don't want to do this no more. Push away from my desk and go back to bed or whatever. But mistakes are fine. That's the thing. And the thing is learning from those mistakes. And the thing is, it could be learning on the sense of, hey, I did X, Y, and Z wrong. Let's try this method instead.
Right.
Or either on the sense of, oh, maybe if I ask this person why everybody leave from my circle, why did this happen? Maybe I could have a better understanding with it. Or either on the sense of, maybe this company is not for me. Let's just leave from this and we can move forward from this. You know what I mean? Making those certain mistakes. But it's just learning from them, because I know from my own personal life, a lot of workplaces, you know, I enjoyed them for a season, for a moment, and then I leave. That's how I am, especially if it's not benefiting me mentally, physically, or even on the sense of money wise. But
sometimes you have to stay there and work hard, and the money is going to come. If it's a job that you enjoy. It shouldn't always be about the money, because the money is going to come.
Yeah.
And I'm I tell you all the time.
For my circumstances. Not for everybody, but I'm for my circumstance.
Look for a career, not a job.
Yeah. And I can say I learned from that, because I'm not going to expose whoever, because that's my own business. But anyway, here's this one. I could try a different strategy. That's why I was bouncing off of what I was saying earlier on the sense of maybe doing X, Y, and Z is not my thing. Let's try something different.
Right. So you said mistakes are valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. True example. And just think about it. Do you think Thomas Edison invented the light bulb with one try?
Obviously, with the information I know, no.
No. It was something wrong in there.
Multiple
times. Something wrong in there that he had to correct. But I'm sure he was journalizing. He was writing down what, okay, this didn't work.
What went wrong in certain areas.
So let's try this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
He probably tried, and I'm sure it's not probably, his attempts was multiple times before he got that light bulb to work the way he wanted to work.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here's another example. If you go back and you think about, say, Thomas Ford, as far as, well, I would say Ford. It may not be Thomas Ford, but when it comes
the inventor of
the Ford Motor Company.
Yeah.
Look at how things evolved over a period of time when it came to that.
Mm-hmm.
The Wright brothers, as far as the plane. Look how many times they had to put that plane together because it's amazing how they have black and white footage from that time with them stuff falling apart.
Yeah.
It never did get up off the ground before it got up off the ground.
Like, doo-doo.
So those mistakes that was made, or those attempts that was made that did not, you can say it was failures, or that was not successful. Put it like that. I wouldn't say that was failures. Those attempts that was not successful, then they learned from it. Okay, we did this and that. Okay, we're gonna go back and we're gonna change the design.
Right.
And we're gonna make sure that we're gonna do it this way to see how it goes. That didn't work for us. We're gonna go back and we're gonna change the design again. And I'm sure the same way it was with the invention of the light bulb. We're gonna go back and we're gonna change the design. So if you doing something and say attaining this A, go back and look at what you're doing now. Whereas where you have the lower grade, say it is a C. It could be a B, but you want that A.
Yeah.
So what am I doing as far as B status? Okay, this is what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm going to have to change up something as far as B status in order to get to that A status.
I'm going to say you're trying different strategies.
You're trying different strategies. So you already successful because you got a passing grade.
Like to do some good ones now.
Right.
It might take you a couple of attempts in the first place, but
and you may not get that A in 2 weeks, but it may take you to get that A within
a whole semester.
Within a semester, because
even half a semester. Who knows?
Prime example, me. I had the hardest English and government teacher my senior year in high school.
Oh, I could talk about my school experience
right. Too. And if I got a B in one class, I got a C in the other. If I got a B in the other, it was always
fluctuating all the time.
Yeah, and I wanted the honor roll. I wanted to get on the honor roll. It was always one subject that was keeping me from being on the honor roll, and that's either government or English. So my grade was an 84.5 in government. To me, an 84.5, 5 or more, you round up, it's an 85. That was my strategy. That was my mindset as a senior in high school. So you know what Deborah did? I went and talked to my government teacher. I'm like, and she was a tough one. No one believed that I talked to her. And I went to her and I said, Miss Dunlap. Yeah, I'm going to say her name. I said, Miss Dunlap.
She's still pressed.
Yeah, I said, an 84.5 was a B. And you gave me a C. Now, trust me, my heart was beating 1,000 miles times per minute when I was talking to this lady, because she just sat back in her chair, leaning on them two little legs, because it was 4 legs. She leaning back and she looking at me. And she called all of her students by their last name. And at that time, my maiden name is Wilson. And she said, Wilson. So, when you do every 6 weeks when we're in school, we had an assembly. And they recognized the students that was on the honor roll. Yeah. So I talked to her the day before the assembly. And 84.5. What I learned in math, you round it up. It's 85. That's a B. And I already worked hard and earned a passing grade in my English class that 6 weeks. 84.5, and I'm gonna be denied the honor roll because of your mindset and your C. Came time for that assembly, they called my name out.
Mm-hmm.
I got the honor roll. But I tell you one thing else too. The next day, she let the whole class know that I came to her and told her 84.5 is a C. Now, in front of Wilson, I believe, I'm just letting you know, let the class know what you did. I'm like, oh my God, she calling me out. But the thing about it is, it lets those other students know, yeah, she set the tone in her classroom, but she also set the tone of putting fear in students. Mm-hmm. She said no one had never challenged her when it came down to a grade, but I did. And she went. I seen her. We was going to the assembly. I seen her take a left and go back to the office, the main office. Yeah, but had no idea what she was doing. I talked to her. I let her know how I felt about it, and she changed the grade. And apparently the administration agreed with her too, because it's not like she can go say, 84.5, yeah, we going to keep it. Apparently they agree with her in some way, form, or fashion in order for that to be changed. So still, it was that I was consistent with what I was trying to do, but it seemed like I was just failing at getting on the honor roll. Mm-hmm. And then when I seen my average in the class is at 84.5, and I'm like, that's an 85. That is not a C. That is a B. And I fought for it. So me being who I was at the age of 16.
You said in general that you were like on the sense of just a very...
I was mature for my age.
Mature and I stood up for myself. Passionate child. You said what you said, and I said what I said. I did,
but I didn't tell my mom I was going to do it.
No, I'm just saying you're the type of person to be like that. You know what I mean? It's like, this ain't right, period.
I stood up for myself. I didn't go complain to no other teacher. I didn't complain to my mom or nothing like that. I didn't complain to my siblings. I didn't complain to no other students. I went to the individual that I knew who was in control of my grade. Mm-hmm. And I went to and talked to her. I talked to her. I didn't talk about her to nobody else. Mm-hmm. I talked to her. So that's a motivating thing for me at that time, just to go and stand up for myself, because not many people are going to do that. Yeah. Of course, I can go on a rant. Yeah. But it was just that I was consistent in what I was doing. Yeah. And I had to motivate myself to make sure I looked at that grade and I didn't let it defeat me. Yeah. So that I've been motivating myself just about all my life.
Yeah, that's been.
I look up, and I look in the mirror, and I talk to myself as far as motivating. Another thing I can go on to. I'm not trying to take over the podcast, but another thing that I can do as far as motivating myself as well was when you take a job from home, and you are that individual, as far as they call you, consumer service, CSR. So a consumer service representative. When they call you that, and you have to call and answer those consumer questions and have to have that personality to be on the phone, that was one of the things that I did not want to do, but I knew that I wanted to work from home. I had to motivate myself every single day. Mm-hmm. Hey, we're going to take 5, 6 phone calls within an hour. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Okay, we can do it. And I started writing stuff down, writing the phone down. The time that I was on the phone with the individual, but motivating myself to answer because that's what I'm getting paid for, to answer the calls and to service the individual that was calling for the company. So it was just, you can't wait for people to come and motivate you. Yeah. It's plenty of things out there on the internet I do. I mean, I have Denzel Washington. I have Eric Thomas. I listen to Eric Thomas. He is so passionate about what he do. I don't know if you ever heard Eric. But go look at some of Eric Thomas' videos. He's been out there motivating well long before he became in the limelight. He's been making videos, been motivating people and stuff. One of the quotes that I like for his, you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. We'll talk about that later. But if you have the time, go look at Eric Thomas' video, and you pull it up, The Lion and the Gazelle. Very, very motivating.
I'll leave it down in the description if you want to listen and watch it. Shout out to Eric Thomas.
Yes, he is very good. What else? I went on a rant. I'm sorry.
Keep going on rants, and I'm like over here. I'm like, can I please talk?
Talk. I'm going to sit back.
But I would say for me, when it came with school, I mean, I was lazy at first because the thing is, I did online school for how many years? 5 years? 6 years.
From your 6th grade?
No, it was years. 7.
7 years.
7 years? No.
It was 7 years.
Was it?
Mm-hmm.
I thought I started
You started in the 6th grade. Your first year.
Oh, yeah.
Your first year in middle school, the 5th grade year, you did not want to go back for your 6th grade year.
Yeah. So,
7 years.
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing it for at least I did for 7 years. And I would say the first 3 years, rough. I mean, I really was not taking it serious at all.
First year, rough. You was not.
No,
we didn't understand it.
The first 3 years, because the first one anyway was the school, and it was like we tried to manage it, and it was like, no, this is not even a good system.
Their grading scale was different.
I must say the system is not good and everything like that. So it's and the teachers were not contacting me, no nothing. We reached out to them. They would contact us like back in like a month and a half or so.
Yeah, I think it was new to them.
Yeah, I'm like it was crazy. I didn't like that system, how they had that up. But when we shout out to LAFCA, Louisiana Virtual Charter Academy, specifically with going over there, obviously my first year I was confused. It was a new system and everything like that for me, and I had to log in to almost like a Zoom meeting
with Blackboard
meeting anyway, and specifically go to my classes and see students and my teachers from time to time, and try to listen and focus on what I'm doing. And they tell me to pull up XYZ, do this, that. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Is this the right buttons? And like after, I would say, going on specifically for, I would say, my whole high school year anyway, I was motivated to do those certain things to get a decent grade.
Right.
And I say decent because I don't work for perfection. That's the thing. If I was working for perfection, I wouldn't be doing this. But because I'm an imperfect person.
Even though that you didn't work for perfection.
It's okay to not be perfect.
But the teachers motivated you all.
Yeah, they did the best that they can do to help us to...
They gave you all opportunity after opportunity after opportunity.
Yeah, and like attempts to do
they would normally
over
give you
again.
One attempt. It depends on the teacher.
True.
They'll give you one attempt for a test or 2 attempts for a test.
Yeah.
If they felt like enough students, if they felt like the percentage wasn't there, and I'm sure it had to do with
let us all retry it again. That's the thing.
I'm sure it was the administration. If the attempt wasn't there, or if the percentage wasn't there, as far as the passing rate, they would open it back up to motivate the students to do better.
Yeah, and plus as well, sometimes as well with some of the teachers, they will do like, hey, y'all didn't do this right. I'm gonna give y'all a second attempt, or even sometimes I'll give y'all even a third attempt, and we're gonna review this whole thing all over again and see y'all can do better. And if not, maybe I should try something different for teaching wise. And we're just gonna leave it at that. We're gonna keep pushing forward because obviously the semesters. But this whole semester, I used to be the whole thing, like the whole year, like from August all the way to May. But well, for me it was for April. But they had to cut it in half, like it's on the sense of how college students are. Like they have their
semesters.
Their fall and winter semester. Then they have specifically their winter to summer semester. That's what they'll do, and not winter to spring semester.
Right.
And they had to cut it in half because of how big the classrooms were getting. That's the thing.
They were getting big.
And
I'm it's like 60-some students in this class.
I remember there was 100 students in the class before. That was crazy.
It was during 2020, 2021, that time of the year that classes became bigger
and
during that
especially
time.
Bigger for the school. This is probably like the biggest it has been in probably a long time.
Yeah.
And they had to adjust and so did we. And especially for the long-term people that have been there,
Yeah.
because they had people there probably since 2009, 8.
Mhm.
I'm like, wow. But anyway,
That's the only thing they know.
yeah, and I mean, I worked my butt off, especially for my junior and my senior year. Oh, I'm like, I'm punching through, and I'm like, do, we gonna get through this.
And the thing about it is, with her being at virtual school, I had to be her learning coach.
Yeah.
So I was accountable as well as she was accountable
Mhm.
when it came down to her schoolwork.
Because the quickness that the teacher will call you
Yeah.
before me. That's the thing.
And
or
they
even
should.
contact me in the first place.
And they should. So I had a parent account, and I had access to her account, whereas I knew what her grades was, what
Because
lessons.
you sure would come over there. Why is your grade a C up in there?
Right.
I'm like,
and what lessons that she haven't done yet. See, the thing about it is, in school, and I guess virtual, it would be totally different from brick and mortar. They gave you a deadline.
Yeah, they did.
If it wasn't in, well,
brick
they
and
gave you a
mortar
due date.
Yeah,
they gave you a due
the
date.
due date before the final date is when it's
Right,
completely
Right.
closed.
So if it's not in by that due date, your grade drops.
Yes, and that's what happens. And that's how the system is. I don't know if the system has changed nowadays,
I don't
but
know.
specifically that's how it was when I was up in Lafka. But I remember specifically around 2020, let's put it like that,
Mhm.
around 2020, I remember that I really wanted to finish out my year with All-Star Cheerleading and really focus on my studies. That couldn't happen as smooth as I wanted to be, not like finish my year strong no matter what the outcome is type sense, but obviously I had to stop because of certain reasons. And specifically, it's almost like it drove me to be like, if I can't have the final outcome like I wanted in the first place, at least I can have an outcome that I know for sure I can work for, if that makes any sense, which it was school. So guess what happened? I worked my butt off in school, became an honors student. Look at me go. I graduated with honors.
Yeah, you did.
I did that. And
you graduated in the top 20 of your class.
That's crazy. And I was proud, and I even teared up a little bit before we like threw the caps, at least our caps and stuff like that at graduation, because I didn't think I could push myself that hard to do something like that. I'm tearing up right now. And but specifically with that, I'm like, whoa, I did that.
Yeah, and it was times I would go look, I'm like, okay, she already got the assignment done. Okay, all right. And I said, okay, Maria, that's good. You I ain't even had to tell you to get the work done, but you got it done. So that lets me know that she was motivated to do her work, because she know too that if it wasn't done, that I was going to try to motivate her even more to do what she needs to do, because she asked me, and full disclosure, the reason why she had to work hard as far as the 11th and the 12th grade year, when we first started going through virtual school and both of us adjusting to the K-12 format, she failed her first year.
Yeah, I did.
So
and it was more sense of a failure on the sense of school helping.
Not understanding the grading scale. We're looking at A, B, C, but you're not looking at the points.
Yeah, I was saying, even like the school system platform, how it was anyway. Because even if you did a test or even like sent in like certain assignments and stuff like that, it would take forever for the teacher to grade and stuff like that. It was just, it was an imbalanced system.
I didn't understand their system
at all.
I really did. But as a matter of fact, you stayed with them 2 years.
Yeah, like it was 2 years.
You did 2 years.
Yeah.
In the 2 years that she was with them, you did fail both times.
Both years, and because I had no one really to bounce off to help me, if that makes any sense. Like, obviously you're my learning coach, but that's all you are. That's the thing.
Right.
And I had teachers.
Right.
But they weren't teaching me, if that makes any sense.
It does make sense, because we know the platform, because you had nobody there to motivate you. They just give you the assignment. You had to go through and look at videos and this and that, and basically you were on your own.
Yeah.
So that's why I had to find something else for her. When she was a junior, and at Lafka, I talked to her counselor, and I said, okay.
Shout out to Miss Martin that's out there. Anyway, we love her, and because she helped me specifically get back on track.
So I talked to her, and the thing about it, I talked to her, and she made a plan. She said it's going to be hard, but she can graduate with a class. She just had to do her 11th grade, all of her 11th grade courses, one semester.
Yeah.
And then when she started the beginning of the next year, she'll be a senior.
Mm-hmm.
So she had a lot of stuff put on her.
Like half of the year, like my fall and winter anyway.
Yeah, it was like 7 classes.
Yeah, and also on top of that, sometimes they will overlap each other, and it's like
right. Yeah, the classes was one class started this time, another class started that class, and then when you became a senior, they added another class.
Yeah, and I'm like, I gotta email my teachers, man, because I'm like, they don't really understand my circumstance. They just see the whole student alignment of whoever
who need to be in that class, who's on their roster.
Roster, that's
who's on their roster. So they were seeing that. It was like, oh, she done missed a week. She done missed 2 weeks. And when you got into... I
had to email them. I'm like, y'all don't understand my circumstance right now because I'm like,
so
I have
like,
classes that overlap.
But the thing about it is what I liked about your financial class, I guess, was
financial government type sense. Because
the one with Mr. Bynum.
Oh, it was financial.
It was a financial class.
Yeah.
I like how he had that aligned for the students and stuff, and he was very, very motivating for him. He would open up stuff. It was frustrating to him to open an assignment back up, and then they didn't take that opportunity to do better.
And almost
and then he gave you all so much work with extra, where you can get extra points and stuff.
Yeah.
And she had so many extra points. I think you finished class about a month in advance. You were done. He was like, why you still coming to class? You ain't got to be up in here.
I'm like, I want to help.
Right. So I think it was you and another student that was really, really.
We both kept coming in the class. So you're like, we want to help. I'm like, we got nothing else to do.
You didn't even need the extra points anymore.
Because the other class I had to take was ACT and stuff, and that was for my senior year. And
then he was your financial teacher,
and my math teacher,
and your math teacher.
Yeah.
So,
but
double duty. Now he is a very, very motivating teacher. I hope he's still teaching because he's very passionate.
At first, I know at least first year dealing with him, like year on the sense of when I started my senior year,
he rubbed us the wrong way.
Yeah, I'm like, he rubbed us both the wrong way.
In that meeting,
And I think it's just on the sense of a frustrating, strict tone. That's all he was.
Yeah.
It was not on the sense of him being mean or anything like that.
Right.
It's just more sense, I'm laying this all right here, right now, and you just got to pick it up. That's all
because by the time that they added you to his class, I think he was like 2 weeks behind.
Yeah, that's the thing. And he called about that.
He did give a lot of work, but he gave you time to do it. But
we had to explain to him through via email what it was, and he was like, "Oh, okay."
So now I understand. But here go another thing too, and I would tell people to do this too. So it's just a fact. If you're talking to someone about your student, and this counselor that we talked to, as far as her doing this for Maria to make sure that she graduated with her class, they weren't there when we came back. So she told me, I'm going to send you this outline that we have right here, and how the classes that we have set up for her to take her first semester and her second semester. I'm going to send this to you so we can have it when we get started. And that's what our saving grace was. Me taking a picture of the screen.
Yeah. And
I had that in my phone, and I was able to send that to her current counselor. And then she seen what I had, because she's like, ain't no way in the world. There was no way in the world that I could have made that up.
Yeah.
And by me having that, they were able to do her schedule the way that teacher, at least that counselor, had it before. I don't know what happened. She left or whatever.
I think she did at least as a principal for like a public school somewhere.
Yeah, she went somewhere. But by me just taking a picture of the screen, because we were Zoom or whatever it was, we're in that meeting. By me taking a picture of it, that allowed her to graduate with her class. Otherwise, they had you set up where you would have graduated a year later.
Behind.
Yeah.
But
that's the hard work you had to put in and motivate yourself in order to do what you had to do.
Yeah.
I was a learning coach, of course,
you were.
but I didn't have to. I just made sure that she just stayed on track. She did, because when she had chemistry and all that stuff, I'm like,
you got
it. You had to get a tutor because I don't understand none of that stuff.
I still got an A in that class, and I only could just thank God about that, because I feel bad for that student specifically that dealt with her and
Did she end up leaving? And the final grade that you had when she was there,
it was it.
That was it. It was stuck.
I hope and pray that she emailed those people that did have low grades to like open up everything for them to complete stuff.
Right.
But still, though, I'm like, it still is like it left a bad taste in my mouth, and I still had an A. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I'm like, man. Anywho, let me finish off my little page right here, and we'll get into the people that my mom's gonna be talking about for Black History. So we're gonna take a little break, and we'll be right back. Okay, let me explain something before anybody else says it's like, what is she talking about? What is she saying? Okay, I have a co-star. What is a co-star, Maria? Good question. So, a co-star is thing about zodiac signs, and you probably think to yourself, girl, what is a zodiac sign? Zodiac sign is specifically a constellation that represents the month and date that you were born on, and it qualifies about the time too, because the time will definitely tell about certain ways that you act yourself. Like, I'm a Taurus, my mom's an Aries, and I'm a May Taurus, she's an April Aries.
I'm an early Aries.
Yeah,
but you got some
Aries.
late Aries,
yeah.
like up until April 18th,
right.
April 20th, something like that. So
it's
and
kind
they
of
fall into what, Taurus?
Yeah,
whatever?
Fall more into Taurus. No, not Taurus.
Taurus.
Yeah. But anywho, that's what that is. And I have an app for zodiac stuff, and they always would give me something every day. I'll show my mom like a couple things that say like, what does this mean?
Exactly.
And I would specifically just look at some of the things. I'm like, this did happen today, and even like the do's and don'ts and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, I did that today without even knowing, without even checking this thing. You know what I mean? And it almost like it blends into well. Like, I don't even check the thing like on the sense I'm looking, trying to find a path or something.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right.
They gave me something for the year 2024, and I wrote it down because I'm like, this little word of not even a quote, it's a phrase, and it said, this is what you're basing off of your 2024 year is gonna be, and it says amor fati. I'll put the actual. It's French, and it's a Latin phrase on the sense of love of fate. That's what that is.
Okay.
And or the love of one's fate. That's the thing.
Okay.
And I mean, the meaning of it is an attitude in which one sees everything that happens in one's life, including suffering, loss, as good, or at least are sometimes necessary.
Okay.
Sometimes. I'm not saying all the time. This is just the meaning of this. And I gave even the shorter meaning, a deep acceptance of what happens in one's life. That's the shorter meaning.
Okay. So just accept the cards, the hand that you've been given.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's what I took it as. Again, like, especially when they said like on the sense of, does someone need to die in your life to make it necessary? That's what I first came to it. I'm like, hold up, let me have a second read about this. And I read it more, and I'm like, oh. And plus, as well, this is based off of a poem. Read the poem. You gonna get a little emotional when you read it. I'm gonna show it to you later.
Okay.
But I'll send it to you through text. But specifically, I read the whole poem, and I'm like, whoa. This what happened last year to myself, and I'm like, man, whoa, it moved me. I'm like, what? And specifically, this probably is gonna sound like Scrabble because that's how my brain works, but I specifically wrote, what does this phrase mean to me anyway, or at least mean for you?
It's gonna mean different to each person that read it.
And I'm like, coming to a point of acceptance of all of my life makes me very happy, or at least makes me feel happy. Coming to acceptance on the things that happened in my life makes me enjoy life more. That's what I'm trying to say. And the humbling feeling, and also just feeling blessed on where I stand right now.
Okay.
That's how I am. And specifically, I'm just skimming through some of these things because I'm trying to make sure you have time to say these two people. From the things of me criticizing myself about some things, instead of like being open-minded, maybe this person did something wrong too, or even on the sense of, yeah, you did something wrong, learn from it.
Right.
And even on the sense of things that have happened, like tragically, all of a sudden it's okay to be sad right now. You know what I mean?
Just don't stay there.
I mean, just in general, that's how I am.
Yeah.
But just don't let it affect you, like you said before. Don't don't settle. Right there in that feeling. Try to move forward.
Move on. Yeah, you have the. I mean,
like you said, it's like but like I said up in here, but now I would say it's going to be okay. You know what I mean? And like you can get through this.
Yeah.
And just this little phrase right here, it moved me to a point that I wrote it down. When I write stuff down, that's how I feel in that moment, and it really, I felt something.
Right.
And it's.
I tell anybody, you do have the right to feel sad. You do have the right to be upset, but also just don't let that emotion take over you and become so overwhelming where you stay being mad, being upset, being sad, because that's going to affect how you live on a daily basis. So,
I mean, I would say
seek help. Talk to somebody.
I'm gonna say that phrase motivate me, and it will motivate me from my life onward, in my opinion, and just in general of me coming to terms of loving where I stand right now.
Right.
That's all that is. But anywho, let's get into your little people. I know.
We can take a break and then we'll come back.
Okay. We're gonna take a small short break. I know this is gonna be quite a bit of a long episode, but we like making long episodes. Okay.
I mean, we can put it to maybe an hour, 15 minutes, if it be that, because you gotta go.
But I love when we do long episodes. It's especially for us to like sit down and be like, ooh, look at this. Which I
think I put some lipstick on my.
I put a little lip gloss on top of my thing. But anyway, let's take a break, and we're gonna talk about these two young women for Black History Month.
So the first young lady we're gonna talk about is Rebecca Lee Crumpler. See, I would have never heard of her, thought about her, if I wouldn't have done my research. So Rebecca is the first Black woman to become a medical doctor in the United States and one of the first African Americans to write a medical book. She published a book of medical discourses in 1883. And at that time, when most medical schools did not admit African Americans and fewer than 300 doctors among the 54,500 in the United States were women, Crumpler's achievements were extraordinary. Now, the thing about it is, in her early life, this is how she was motivated to do what she did. She was primarily raised in Pennsylvania by her auntie, and her auntie would go around and she would take care of the sick neighbors, and she was the influence for her to become a doctor. So she wrote the medical book, and then in her book she says, having been reared by a kind aunt in Pennsylvania whose usefulness with the sick was continually sought, I early conceived a liking for and sought every opportunity to be in a position to relieve the suffering of others. So that motivated her to become a doctor. So she did. Her maiden name is Davis. That's just her maiden name. So she moved to Massachusetts. She was married to Wyatt Lee. He was an enslaved person, and she did take on his name. So she was able to work as a nurse without any formal training or education. And doctors noticed her compassion and her dedication, and on their recommendation, Rebecca Lee was admitted in 1860 to the New England Female Medical College, which later merged with Boston University in Boston. So Lee, that was her married name, just because she was married 2 times.
Oh, okay.
So she became Rebecca Lee Crumpler, as far as Lee at that time. She paused her education to care for her husband, and her husband was suffering from tuberculosis, and she returned in 1863 after his death. So she went back to Massachusetts after he had died. She graduated in 1864. It was a year after her husband passed away. And she was not only the first African American woman in the United States to earn a medical degree, but also the only African American woman to graduate from the college. So the following year, she married Arthur Crumpler. So that was her married name until she passed away. And they had one child. Her name was Lizzie. Let's see. I got a little bit more on her. So in the meantime, she had started her own practice as a general practitioner in Boston. But in 1865, she moved to Richmond, Virginia, because this was the end of the Civil War. And she recognized, now you're going from Boston, from Massachusetts, and you're going down south. But she realized that it was an urgent care for medical care for people in the South, because it was black people who was newly freed from slavery, and they didn't have that medical attention that they needed at that time. You had to think about the conditions, the living conditions at that time caused them to have certain illnesses,
especially if you,
and they weren't still allowed to go to a public hospital.
Right. If you lived in the South anyway, you probably heard a lot about, slavery stuff down here in the first place, especially things that happened after the Civil War and stuff like that, of how the conditions were horrible.
As far as the drinking water, probably the food.
Finding food, all that. It was really bad.
So she worked for this agency called the Freedmen's Bureau, and it was a government agency. It was formed to help formerly enslaved people, and with many black community and missionary groups, she did help provide the care for them. And I did go back and I looked at the Freedmen's Group, even though it was a bureau.
We'll pull up some pictures and stuff like that for y'all to see.
It was a bureau during the Reconstruction period after the Civil War. The popular name for the U.S. Bureau of Refugees, Freedmen, and Abandoned Lands, established by Congress to provide practical aid. Now, they wanted this group to provide practical aid to 4 million newly freed African Americans in their transition from slavery to freedom. So, despite the handicaps of the inadequate funds, because it was a government thing, but it don't seem like they gave them the most money and the most attention. The people were poorly trained. The Bureau built hospitals. They did build hospitals, and they gave direct medical assistance to more than 1 million freed people, but you got 4 million people. And then more than 21 million rations were distributed to impoverished blacks as well as whites. So, all the funds did not go to the black community. It went to the white community as well. The Bureau, it shut down in 1872, but some of the things that, at least they said, the greatest accomplishments were in education, not basically as far as helping that community. They, more than 1,000 black schools was built, and over $400,000 spent to establish teacher training institution. $400,000 back in that time, that was like it's $1 million. So among the historically black colleges and universities that received aid from the Bureau were Atlanta University, 1865. Now today is Clark Atlanta University. Fisk University in 1866. Originally the Fisk School. So it's, Fisk University is still around right now. Named for General Clinton B. Fisk of the Tennessee Freedom Bureau, who gave the school its original facilities in a former Union Army barracks. So Howard University, founded in 1867 through an act of the United States Congress, was named for Major General Howard. So less success was achieved in civil rights. So for the Bureau's own courts were poorly organized and short-lived, and only the Bears form a process of law for freedom could be sustained in the civil courts. So they didn't have that civil law that was protecting blacks back in the, that time. It's the late 1800s. But they did close that bureau down in 1872. So to touch on
the next person.
No, just to touch a little bit on her book, just a little bit.
Oh, the book. Okay.
Yeah. Just a few sentences on that. Give me a second. All right. So after a number of years, Crumpler returned to Boston. You know, she did what she had to do there in Boston, and where she established a practice in Beacon Hill. She focused her medical activity on the illnesses affecting poor women and children. Her two-volume book, A Book of Medical Discourses, was published in 1883, was specifically aimed at women and the care of their children. And she died at the age of 64 in Hyde Park, Massachusetts. And I did see like a 2.5 minute video of some women going back 125 years later, and they were able to put a headstone on her grave.
No.
Because they said this lady contributed so much to the medical history, and people would come to Beacon Hill to look for her gravesite. They couldn't find it because no headstone was there. So 125 years later, I want to say it was in 2020, 2021 when that video was done. But I love how they went about and they were able to do something, even though she's not here, because they know what she did for the medical field. They went and they put a beautiful headstone on her grave.
That's nice. That's very nice.
All right, so I did go back and find Dr. Dorothy Lavinia Brown.
I heard her name before.
She spent her childhood, and it's amazing how people can overcome things in their life and become successful. They don't let their past dictate their future. Her childhood in an orphanage, and grew up to become the first African American woman surgeon that deserves applause in the South. The first African American woman to become in the South, eventually being made chief of surgery at Nashville's Riverside Hospital. She was also the first African American woman to be made a fellow of the American College of Surgeons. So Dr. Brown was born in Philadelphia in 1919. Soon after her birth, her mother, Edna Brown, moved to upstate New York and placed her in an orphanage there. Can you imagine being with your mom one day and the next day you're in an orphanage? The predominant white Troy orphanage, later renamed Vanderheiden Hall, was her home from age 5 months until her 13th birthday. Yeah. When her mother reclaimed her. By that time, however, the orphanage seemed a safer home than the one her estranged mother could provide, so Dorothy ran away 5 times, returning each time to the orphanage. As a teen, she worked as a maid and at the Wing Sing Chinese laundry, and determined to get her an education, she finally ran away at the age of 15 to enroll in Troy High School. When the principal realized that she did not have anywhere to stay, he arranged for a foster home with Lola and Samuel Wesley Redmond, and they became a major influence throughout Dorothy Brown's life as a source of security, support, and enduring values. So, can you imagine how she felt from 5 months old to the age of 13?
I mean,
for 13 years.
Yeah, of being alone by yourself.
I'm in this orphanage. This is where I acclimated my life. This is where I took my first steps.
Yeah.
This is where I learned my first words. And at the age of 13, you want me to come back and live with you and think that, okay, everything is going to be okay.
I've been alone for 13 years of my life.
This orphanage has been my home for 13 years of my life. That's
but I'm talking about mentally, like, alone. You have nobody, like, not even no family contacted you or anything like that, trying to take you in, no nothing.
They probably didn't know anything about it. Just think 5 months old.
I'm going to say, that's the thing. You know?
Yeah. So in 1937, when Brown graduated from Troy High School at the top of her class, the Troy Conference Methodist Women awarded her...
Shout out to Detroit. I said Detroit. Is it?
Troy.
Yeah. Detroit.
She was awarded her... The Conference Methodist Women awarded her a 4-year scholarship to Bennett College in Greensboro, North Carolina. She received her BA in 1941, graduating second in her class, and became an inspector in the Rochester, New York Army Ordnance Department as part of the war effort. Dorothy had wanted to become a physician since she had her tonsils removed as a child, and in 1944 she enrolled at Meharry Medical College in Nashville, Tennessee, and she graduated in 1948. So after a year's internship at Harlem Hospital, the next challenge was her choice of residency, and she chose surgery. And there were no other black women in general surgery in the South, and she had to forge through almost universal resistance. Can you imagine? She's the only black woman in her residency for surgery, and at that time, you still had segregation going on.
Right.
You know, so she said that Dr. Matthew Walker was a brave man because he accepted her into the program despite advice from his staff that a woman couldn't withstand the rigors of surgery. So Brown worked through a 5-year residency at Meharry and George W. Hubbard Hospitals to become assistant professor of surgery in 1955 and the first African-American woman to be made a fellow of the American College of Surgeons. Describing her drive to persevere, Dr. Brown has said, I tried to be, but not hard, but durable. She knew she had to go through some things. So from 1957 to 1983, Brown was chief of surgery at Nashville Riverside Hospital, clinical professor of surgery at Meharry Medical College, and educational director for the Riverside Meharry Clinical Rotation Program. She also served as a consultant on health, education, and welfare for the National Institute of Health, the National Advisory Council, Heart, Lung, and Blood in 1982. Her determination, beliefs, and value helped her to break through barriers in other aspects of her life, too. When a young, unmarried patient implored the orphanage-raised physician to adopt her newborn daughter, Brown became the first single adopted mother in Tennessee in 1956. Then in 1966, when when they redistrict the area, opened the door for a black candidate, Brown was asked to run for a seat in the state legislature.
Wow.
Yeah. She ran and she won, becoming the first black woman representative to the state legislature in Tennessee. Brown would later resign after a bitter defeat of an expanded abortion rights bill she sponsored, frustrated in her belief that it had the potential to save the lives of many women in Tennessee. So among Dr. Brown's many honors are the naming of the Dorothy L. Brown Women's Residence at Meharry College in 1970. She also received the Humanitarian Award from the Carnegie F. Foundation in 1993 and the prestigious Horatio Alger Award in 1994. As often said, she was proud to be a role model, not because I have done so much, but to say to young people that it can be done.
Yes.
All right.
Beautiful. Okay. I think we're going to have to stop right here, Mama, because of time.
Yeah,
time crunch, because, I mean, you got to work, and we got to do all this, then, the third. So, I got to edit this and everything like that. But we're going to take a little bit of a, we're going to take a little bit of a break, and we're going to end this episode. Woo! That was a wonderful, beautiful, beautiful topic that we talked about, because you had stuff to say, I had a few things to say, and especially for us to start off Black History Month correct. We started off Black History Month correct. Yes, we love that. We love it. And specifically, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode too. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow us specifically on Apple Podcasts and also Spotify as well. And also leave a like on this video.
Yes.
Click all the links in the description if you want to just, have some motivation or read up what we just read up on a little bit more, because we can only talk about a few things because we add in this into the podcast.
Right.
And plus, on top of that as well, there'll be a blog post specifically by the date that we post this on our website. So go to our website, www.whatsthetopicagain.com. Literally, read the whole thing. We'll have pictures and stuff and everything like that. This is like one of the probably coolest things that we probably will ever do on this podcast, besides us doing the special and stuff like that, our New Year's and Christmas special.
Right.
And please just be kind to one another. Try to motivate people in the comments, you know.
Constructive criticism.
Yes, and tell us in the comments as well who motivates you the most. It could be a person, it could be a phrase that you could say that that you abide by, anything of the sort. Just let us know. And do you have any final notes, Mama?
No, I just want, like you said, continue to make sure that you're aware of how you're talking to people.
Yeah.
Because that delivery is
key.
It's key, and it can also impact a relationship.
Yeah.
You know, with that. So just make sure that you understand your delivery. Make sure that you, like you say, are kind to one another, saying kind words, doing kind things, being consistent and committed to what you're doing. It can change a lot. It can change a lot in your life. Now, don't be consistent and committed to doing things that's not positive.
Right.
So make sure you're consistent and committed to doing things that's positive. And that's also going to impact your life, and it's going to impact someone else, because you never know who's watching you. You never know who you making an impression on, too. So you all do that and have a great week, and we definitely like the support. So keep on liking us, keep on talking about us to other people, so we can our subscribe account can go up.
Yeah, I agree. And hope you guys stay safe, specifically in these winter streets. Please be safe. Because winter is coming in strong.
Yeah, prayers for the people who really having the bad storms, you know, further up north.
I agree.
Yeah.
And specifically, hope y'all guys have an amazing rest of y'all week as well. Be happy, be healthy, and be kind to one another, please. And we'll see you guys next Sunday with another podcast.